Hey guys, so today we're checking out the dual exhaust system with black tips with a rear or a side exit, fitting all 2009 to 2018 5.7 liter Ram 1500s. So if you're in search of an affordable option for a dual exhaust system for your truck, it's going to liven up the sound and also give you the choice between a rear or a side exit, then this is going to be a great option to take a look into. So as far as loudness goes for this exhaust system, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 on the loudness meter, with 1 being completely stock and 5 being incredibly loud. Now, as you guys just heard from that sound clip, this is going to do a really good job at opening up a lot of airflow and creating a very aggressive and throaty tone out of your exhaust system and out of your truck in general. Now, inside the cab area, you're not going to get a whole ton of noise. You will be able to hear your exhaust system, especially when you get on the throttle, but it's not going to be overbearing. So if you are somebody that is looking for an exhaust system that you want to hear from time to time, but don't want to be annoyed with when you're driving your truck around, then this is going to be right up your alley. Now, not only are you getting sound benefits out of this exhaust system, but you're also going to get some performance benefits as well with the straight through flow style muffler, as well as the mandrel-bent tubing for less restriction and better airflow, which will give you a bump in performance. Now, what I do really like about this exhaust system is the fact that it gives you both choices for a rear or a side exit. Now, that is going to allow you to customize your truck to however you want it to look, and you have the option to switch it up whenever you want very easily. Now, speaking of that exit, you're also getting a black tip. Now, that's going to do a really good job at creating an aggressive and a sleek look out of the back of your truck or the side of your truck, depending on what exit you have. Perfect for you guys out there that are a fan of that more blacked out look. Now, with all that being said, this is going to come in at roughly $500, and in my personal opinion, I think that that is a great price point for what you're getting out of this kit. Now, in comparison to some other choices, some less expensive options may not have as many bells and whistles as this kit does. It may just be for a single side exit, or they may not include the option of the side or the rear exit customization that this one does. Now, on the other hand, some more expensive choices may have some extra bells and whistles that this doesn't have. So it may come with a higher quality 304 stainless steel construction, as to where this one comes with a 409. Now, the 409 is going to hold up very well if you take care of it, but 304 is just going to be a little bit higher quality and a little bit more expensive. And then you also have those options that are going to include a larger tip or even a different color tip as far as the polished or the black is concerned. Now, again, in my personal opinion, I think if you're looking for an exhaust system that's going to be affordable, liven up the sound of the 5.7 liter, give you those customization options between the exits, and also hold up for a very long time, then this is going to be right up your alley. Now, as far as install goes, this is going to be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. You're going to need some very basic hand tools to get the job done, as well as about 3 hours worth of your time. So speaking of that install, let's jump into that now. The tools that I used for this install were a dead blow, an impact wrench, an electric ratchet, a large and a small pry bar, an exhaust hanger removal tool, a can of PV blaster, a 16mm and 10mm deep socket, a 3-inch extension, a 10mm wrench, and a ratchet. So to kick this off, what we're going to do is take off our 2 tailpipes. We're going to start at the back of our muffler, and then we're going to work our way forward. So what you're going to need is a exhaust hanger removal tool, or you could use a pry bar depending on the tools that you have, and you're also going to need a 16mm socket. First, we can work on the passenger side tailpipe. Again, I'm going to be using that 16mm socket. I'm also going to be using my electric ratchet. Now, we don't need to remove the nut all the way, we just need to back it out so we can loosen up the clamp. So while we're up here, we're also going to loosen up the driver's side tailpipe clamp off of the muffler. I'm going to be using that same 16mm socket, but I did add an extension to my electric ratchet just to give myself a little bit of room around the passenger side tailpipe. Again, we don't need to completely remove them. All we have to do is just loosen them up, and then we can take a small pry bar and just open up this clamp. So now that the tailpipe is loosened up, as you can see, it's attached to the isolator here. I do have a pair of exhaust hanger removal tools ready. However, we should be able to just slide it back, kind of slide it through that hanger, work it around that track bar in the back, and completely remove it. On the driver's side, it is going to be a little bit different. We're gonna have two hangers, one like we just saw at the back, but there is also gonna be an extra one up here for that extra piping. I'm gonna take the exhaust hanger removal tool and push that out of the hanger. What we can start to do now is pull the tailpipe back just like we did with the passenger side to remove it from this isolator. Again, I do have an exhaust hanger removal tool on standby just in case we need to use that. Our next step is to remove our muffler. So first we're going to disconnect it at the front of our muffler by loosening up this clamp with that same 60mm deep socket. Now it is connected by two hangers in the back. However, once we pull the exhaust back, it will release from the hangers just like we did with the tailpipes. I recommend to have them lubricated. I lubricated them with PB Blaster. So what we can do now is pull back on our muffler to release it from the isolators as well as the piping up at the front here. It's maybe a little bit difficult considering that since the exhaust heats up and cools down a lot, maybe a little bit stuck on the front here. So I was having a little bit of difficulty sliding it off. It is kind of seized up at the top here. So what I'm gonna do is just take a dead blow and give this a couple hits just to move it back a little bit. You just wanna be mindful of the hangers on the isolators back there. So before we hop into the rest of the install, I wanted to stop down and tell you guys a little bit more about this new Rough Country exhaust, what benefits, what features that you're getting with this exhaust in comparison to your factory. Now starting off, taking a brief overview of our factory exhaust system, we're gonna have a large muffler up at the front and we're also gonna have two resonators on the back there. Now it's gonna cause a lot of restriction and not the best airflow in comparison to this new Rough Country exhaust. Now up at the front of our Rough Country exhaust, we have a straight through style muffler. It is going to be a little bit smaller than our factory muffler, and it's also going to allow for better airflow, which is going to help out when it comes to performance as well as sound, creating a deep and more aggressive tone out of your truck. Now the factory exhaust system is going to be made of a steel material, as to where our new exhaust system is going to be made of a 409 stainless steel material. Now this is going to be 16 gauge mandrel-bent tubing to allow for the best exhaust flow, and the muffler is going to be powder coated in black to ensure that it's going to resist any rust or corrosion better than the steel from our factory one does. Now the tips are made of a high quality 304 stainless steel material. The tips are double walled and they are black powder coated as well with a Rough Country stamp on top, so you can ensure that they are going to hold up for a very long time, resist any rust or corrosion while they are mounted up to your truck, and they're also going to give a sleek and more aggressive look to either the side or the rear of your truck. Now on that topic, your factory exhaust system, or the one that came off of our truck, is a dual rear exit. Now that's what you're getting with this new exhaust system. However, you're also getting the option for a dual side exit as well, so you can switch it up at any time and really customize the exhaust to however you want it. And not to mention, this is going to include all the extra clamps that you'll need in order to install this on your truck. So what do you say we go ahead and install our new exhaust system? So what essentially we're gonna do is build our exhaust system from the front to the back. So we're gonna take our first piece of piping with our 3-inch clamp and put that over. We're gonna loosen it up a little bit. Make sure it slides over. And then we can place that onto our factory pipe, making sure that the bolt is in an accessible location to tighten it down. Then we can grab our muffler and start building back. What we can do now is grab our muffler with our second 3-inch clamp and attach that to the piping that we just installed. I also have a pull jack here. There's no hangers on our new muffler, so I want to make sure that that kind of stays in place while we're building the rest of the exhaust system. Now for the time being, I am going to tighten up these 2 clamps at the front to make sure this stays in place while we're adding the extra piping. I'm going to use a 16mm socket to tighten down both of those clamps. So our next step is to install our driver's side tailpipe. Now this is going to be split up into 2 pieces, so I have the front piece here with me first. We're going to install it on this front isolator right above our muffler and the one in the middle on the driver's side. Now I am going to install our 2.5-inch clamps on the muffler before we install the piping. You also want to make sure, again, that the nut on the end of the clamp is easily accessible for when we have to tighten it down. So with those there, what we can do is align this with the muffler as well as that isolator up at the top. Now if it's struggling a little bit to go into the muffler, you can take a dead blow and just give it a little tap. So now that the front of the over axle pipe is installed, we can do the same thing for the back or the middle isolator here. And then we can complete this piping. So what we can do now is take our clamp, this is a 2.5-inch clamp, and put that on the second piece of our tailpipe on the driver's side. We can line this up with the piping that we just installed. Wiggle that in place, and then install this in our isolator. So what we can do now is install our passenger side tailpipe. Now I am going to try to slip the hanger into the isolator and install the piece of piping down at the bottom onto our muffler at the same time. They're both going the same direction, so it should be pretty easy to do this. So what we can do now is move this hanger to this isolator here. Now you want to make sure that the exhaust is all the way pushed back, or you may have some trouble getting this into the isolator. What I'm going to do is grab a pry bar, stick it in the frame right here, and just kind of pull back on this isolator. Because it is so big, it's not as flexible as some of the other isolators. So a pry bar may help. If you pull back, you should be able to slip the hanger inside like that. Now I'm going to be installing the side exit. At this point, you just want to decide which exit that you're going to install. First, I'm going to install the side exit. So I'm going to take the elbow pipe, or the one that is bent to more or less a 90-degree angle, 2.5-inch clamp, slide that over the last pipe, slide that onto our exhaust system, and we will secure this down in just a minute. But we want to, again, make sure that that nut is in an accessible location. Right? Then we can install the other one, and then we can adjust them and tighten them down. So what we can do at this point is adjust the piping and tighten all of our clamps down. I'm going to be using that same 16mm deep socket that we were using before. After our exhaust system is tightened down, we can add our tips. So this is just going to go on that last piece of piping there. If you need to loosen up this clamp and adjust this according to your bumper height, you can. Once you get that in place where you want it, we can tighten that up with a 10mm wrench and socket. We can repeat that for the other side. So now that I've shown you guys how to install the dual side exit, I want to show you how easy it is to swap over to the dual rear exit. So we're going to take the 2 extra pieces that were included in the kit and install them on our tailpipes that are already on our muffler. So we are going to be reusing that 2.5-inch clamp, taking the flanged end or the flared end and lining that up with the cutout in our bumper. It's going to be going away from that spare tire. So if it is being a little bit difficult, again, you can take a dead blow and just wiggle it on. Make sure that it's seated all the way back, and we can tighten that up. So I'm going to be using that same 16mm socket to tighten that up. Then we can repeat that on the other side. What we can do now is install our tips. Making sure they're placed where you want them. And then we can tighten them down with that same 10mm socket and wrench that we tightened down the last exhaust with. Then again, we can repeat that on the other side. So that's gonna wrap it up for my review and install. Make sure you like and subscribe, and for more products and videos just like this, always keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.